So I've got to say, 2024 has been a solid year for movies so far, and the excitement isn't slowing down just yet. James Cameron's secret Terminator project has me cautiously optimistic, especially after the disappointments of Genesis and Dark Fate. There's also buzz around who might step into Phil Schwarzenegger's shoes in this new installment. Plus, we've got some scoop on why companies like Netflix and Crunchyroll were hit by online leaks, affecting titles like Arcane and Terminator Zero. So, let's dive into it. Despite my better judgment, I can't help but feel a bit excited about James Cameron's new Terminator project. Cameron's films are always a big deal, with him constantly pushing the envelope on visual effects and creating unforgettable heroes and villains. Honestly, I could argue that the Terminator franchise should have ended after the second movie. The story felt perfectly wrapped up with the sequel's ending, but the movies were just too profitable to stop there. The 4 sequels that followed never quite managed to capture the magic of the first two. The third movie was basically a lukewarm remake of Judgment Day. Salvation tried, and failed, to take the series in a new direction, and the 5th and 6th entries leaned on nostalgia but didn't deliver anything memorable. I'm somewhat intrigued by Netflix's Terminator Zero anime, but after a string of disappointments, any new Terminator movie would really need to bring its A-game to get me fully on board again. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Cameron confirmed he's working on a new Terminator project, but he kept things pretty mysterious, saying it's totally classified for now. It's interesting that he didn't even hint at whether this new project is a movie or something else. Even though Terminator Dark Fate didn't quite hit the mark, the fact that Cameron is still developing something in the Terminator universe is intriguing. If Cameron and his team are working on something new, I'm really hoping they're aiming to shake up the typical Terminator formula. Cameron has a knack for predicting the future of technology and AI, so it's exciting to think about what angle he might take next. He mentioned in a talk at Dell Technologies World in 2023 that the new project will involve AI, though he didn't dive into details. What I'd love to see is a fresh take on the franchise. The whole slasher chase approach has been overdone, which was a big issue with Dark Fate. That movie felt too familiar, with recycled ideas and set pieces that didn't quite land. If Cameron's working on a new story, I'm hoping it reinvents what we expect from a Terminator movie and brings something new to the table. And when it comes to James Cameron's involvement with Terminator Genesis and Dark Fate, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like many fans, I spent years hoping Cameron would return for a third Terminator film. However, due to issues with copyright and royalties, he stayed away from the series for quite a while. He did, however, consult on Terminator Genesis, though his role was pretty limited. The idea to have the T-800's fake skin age like a regular human was his, which was a cool touch to explain Arnold Schwarzenegger's return. But then came Dark Fate. Despite my hopes, it became clear that maybe it was time to retire the series after so many failed reboots. I never really got why Cameron praised Genesis before its release, claiming it had reinvigorated the saga when it was widely panned. When the rights to the franchise went back to Cameron, he planned a new Terminator trilogy with Tim Miller. Cameron took a significant creative role in Dark Fate, overseeing everything from the script to post-production. I thought this would ensure high quality, but some of the film's most controversial choices, like John Connor's death in the opening, were his ideas. Cameron and Miller also had disagreements during production. Although Dark Fate had a decent 70% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, it only made $250 million worldwide, which seemed to confirm that maybe it's time to let the series rest after so many attempts to reboot it. So the big question now is, will James Cameron's new Terminator project be the one to save the franchise? Honestly, I'm torn between nostalgia and a deep-rooted loyalty to the series. I really don't want to see Terminator end on such a flat note as Dark Fate. The series has such an iconic legacy, and it shouldn't be this tough to create a fresh, original entry. Cameron himself has been upfront about the shortcomings of Dark Fate. Despite having a financial incentive to keep churning out sequels, he must recognize that a serious course correction is needed. Whether Terminator 7 will actually manage to revive the franchise is still up in the air. It sounds like the next film might be a complete reboot without Schwarzenegger or other familiar faces returning. Exploring AI and the origins of Skynet could be a compelling direction, but whether this new angle will be enough to truly reinvigorate the franchise remains to be seen. I'm keeping an open mind, but it's clear that the franchise needs something substantial to get back on track. On the flip side, Netflix and several other companies have been hit hard by a significant security breach involving one of their post-production partners. This breach has led to a massive leak of anime titles and other content, including Season 2 of Arcane, Terminator Zero, Dandadan, Ranma Half, and more. Netflix confirmed the situation with Deadline, stating, "One of our post-production partners has been compromised, and footage from several of our titles has unfortunately leaked online. Our team is aggressively taking action to have it taken down." The leaked content first appeared on X and 4chan, with reports from IGN also noting that Sony's Crunchyroll was affected. The premiere episode of the isekai anime Re:Zero also found its way online. The leak was initially discovered on August 6th, and since then, other shows and films like Heartstopper Season 3, Gentry Chow vs. the Underworld, Plankton the Movie, and Spellbound have also surfaced, according to IGN. Sources indicate that the compromised partner is Iuno, a media localization provider. Iuno issued a security incident update on August 9th, acknowledging the breach and promising to investigate the unauthorized access to confidential content. They assured me that protecting their clients' confidentiality and content security is their top priority. Iuno's client list includes major names such as Disney, HBO, Warner Bros. Discovery, A&E Networks, Amazon Studios, BBC Studios, DreamWorks, and E1. As for casting for Terminator 7 and potentially finding a replacement for Arnold Schwarzenegger, rumors are swirling that Chris Hemsworth could be a great fit. With his charisma, cinematic presence, and imposing physique, Hemsworth seems like a natural choice to step into the Terminator role. In the Extraction movies, he essentially embodies a Terminator-like character as Tyler Rake, a relentless, unstoppable force tasked with protecting key individuals from formidable foes. His upcoming role as a tough-as-nails warrior in George Miller's new Mad Max film only adds to the argument that he could seamlessly transition into a Terminator. After that, we might just see him donning those iconic sunglasses and taking on a new kind of badass role. That said, we think that for Terminator 7, the best approach to John Connor's story might be to introduce an entirely new version of the character, separate from all previous interpretations. This could mean exploring a fresh narrative set either in the present day, featuring a young John Connor, or in the future, showcasing him as the leader of the Resistance. By doing this, the film can avoid the pitfalls of Dark Fate, which tried to shake up the saga but ended up muddling its most iconic elements. The film should also clearly define early on whether John Connor will be the central character or just a part of a larger story featuring new protagonists. Even if Terminator 7 is a reboot, it could still offer a unique take on John Connor, reinventing him in a way that feels both fresh and compelling. Movies like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and Prey have shown that it's possible to breathe new life into a franchise while preserving its core essence. So, there's definitely potential for Terminator 7 to do the same. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.